Pope Francis, renowned for his humility, compassion, and dedication to global peace, has become a revered figure worldwide. He has consecrated countless churches across continents, embodying faith and unity. When the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral reopened after years of restoration, everyone anticipated his presence, but he was notably absent. Speculations swirled until Pope Francis finally spoke, dropping a startling revelation that stunned the world. From his humble origins in Argentina to his rise as the leader of the Catholic Church, this influential man's journey is worthy of exploration. Pope Francis's life is a fascinating story of faith, perseverance, and compassion. Let's rewind to where it all began. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the future Pope Francis, was born on December 17, 1936 in Flores, a neighborhood in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was the eldest of 5 children, born to Mario Jose Bergoglio, an Italian immigrant accountant, and Regina Maria Sivori, a homemaker with northern Italian roots. The Bergoglio family had fled Italy in 1929 to escape Mussolini's regime, not due to economic hardship, but out of a desire for freedom and a new start. Growing up in a bustling, close-knit family laid the foundation for Jorge's values of humility, hard work, and love for the community. By all accounts, young Jorge was just like any other kid, playing soccer in the streets, loving his family, and going to school. But there was already something special about him. Jorge, who came from the Santos Angeles school in Ramos Mejia, began to develop a sense of discipline and spirituality, despite being far from religious. Envisioning his future, he later attended the Industrial Technical School number 27, where he studied chemistry and earned a diploma as a chemical technician. He even worked in a food laboratory for a time. However, Jorge also had various odd jobs, like being a janitor and a bouncer at a bar, as he navigated his way in the world. When he was 21, his life took a serious turn after he battled life-threatening pneumonia and had 3 cysts removed, leading to the loss of part of one lung. This experience made him pause and reflect. Around the same time, a visit to a church for confession ignited a spark within him, a calling to serve the church. From that moment, his life revolved around faith and helping others rather than chemicals and odd jobs. In 1958, Jorge became a Jesuit novice, joining the Society of Jesus. His Jesuit training took him from Argentina to Santiago, Chile, where he studied humanities, and then back to Buenos Aires for philosophy. During this time, he experienced moments of doubt, even admitting to having a crush on a girl, showing his human side. However, Jorge remained committed to his path, taking his first vows as a Jesuit in 1960 and beginning to teach literature and psychology in high schools. By 1969, after years of study, Jorge was ordained as a priest, ready to take on greater responsibilities within the church. From there, his career within the Jesuits accelerated. Jorge took his final religious vows and was appointed the provincial leader of the Jesuits in Argentina for 6 years. During this time, he emphasized pastoral work and strong connections with the people, even as tensions arose within the Jesuit community. Not everyone agreed with his priorities, but his commitment to the faith remained steadfast. After serving as the rector of the philosophical and theological faculty in San Miguel, Jorge's role in the church continued to evolve. His humility and dedication were recognized, and in 1992, he was appointed auxiliary bishop of Buenos Aires. By 1998, he had become the city's archbishop, earning the nickname the Slum Bishop. While others may have distanced themselves from the poorest neighborhoods, Jorge moved closer, doubling the number of priests working in the slums, washing the feet of the marginalized, visiting hospitals, and walking alongside them. Pope John Paul II elevated a previously forgotten person named Jorge Mario Bergoglio to the rank of cardinal, giving him global prominence. Bergoglio's simplicity, humility, and commitment to social justice set him apart. He did not live in lavish residences, cooked his own meals, and took the bus to work, even in Rome, maintaining a low profile and making quick visits, refusing to seek the spotlight. When Pope Benedict XVI resigned in 2013, the cardinals elected Bergoglio as the new pope, to the surprise of many. Bergoglio took the name Pope Francis, becoming the first Jesuit pope, the first pope from the Americas, and the first non-European pope in over 1,200 years. Since 2013, Pope Francis has signaled a new era of simplicity, compassion, and reform in the papacy. Jorge Mario Bergoglio became Pope Francis, a leader unlike any other in modern times. At 76 years old, he arrived on the world stage with a warm smile, a simple wave, and a heart dedicated to serving others. What makes Pope Francis such a remarkable and significant figure today is not just his position, but the way he lives it. From the moment he was elected, Francis broke traditions and set a tone of humility and accessibility. On the night he became Pope, he skipped the fancy papal car and joined his fellow cardinals on the bus back to their hotel. The next day, he quietly visited a sick friend in the hospital without any fanfare or red carpets, just being himself. One of his first decisions as Pope was to choose the name Francis in honor of Saint Francis, Francis of Assisi, a saint known for his devotion to the poor and his love for nature. Pope Francis later explained that during the conclave, a fellow cardinal whispered to him, "Don't forget the poor," and that moment stayed with him. Pope Francis has dedicated the past decade to living out his vision of a humble and compassionate church that serves the poor. He is the first pope from the Americas and the first Jesuit pope. Instead of residing in the traditional papal apartments, he chooses to live in the Vatican's guest house, where he shares meals and conversations with visitors. He has made it clear that being pope is about service, not status or luxury. His leadership has emphasized mercy, compassion, and inclusivity. In 2015, he declared a year of mercy, encouraging Catholics worldwide to focus on forgiveness and kindness. He opened special doors of mercy in churches and cathedrals around the globe, symbolizing God's open arms for all people. The Pope embraces everyone, including the sick, poor, elderly, and those on the margins of society. He has shown this by washing the feet of prisoners, including women and Muslims, during the Holy Thursday ritual. For Francis, no one is too small to deserve love and dignity. As a Jesuit, he has brought the tradition of discernment and listening for God's call into his papacy. He emphasizes the need to focus on serving others rather than getting caught up in rules or formalities, and believes that pastors must be close to the people they serve. Francis has also worked to modernize the church's organization, reforming the Vatican's financial practices and encouraging greater participation in church decisions. His leadership has been about collaboration and renewal, as he has established a council of cardinals to advise him and brought in experts to address long-standing challenges like transparency and accountability. Pope Francis has used his platform to call for peace, care for the environment, and solidarity with the poor. He has traveled to places no pope has visited before, such as Iraq, where he offered hope to dwindling Christian communities. Across the world, his message remains the same: love, mercy, and humility. Perhaps what makes Francis so beloved is his ability to connect with ordinary people, whether he's chatting with crowds or writing heartfelt letters. He brings a personal touch to his role, reminding us that being a leader is about serving others, not about power. The world loves Pope Francis because he reminds us of the goodness in humanity. Through his words and actions, he teaches that being kind, charitable, and humanitarian is not just a choice, but a responsibility we all share. Since becoming Pope in 2013, Francis has made charity a central part of his papacy. For him, charity is a way of life, and he constantly emphasizes that faith without action is meaningless. He leads by example, always putting compassion into practice. One of Pope Francis's most notable statements emphasizes that a Christian faith that fails to challenge the powerful and does not inspire a deep commitment to charity risks becoming nothing more than a harmless form of devotion. In other words, faith must inspire real, tangible change. Pope Francis's humanitarian work has been truly inspiring. Recently, after devastating earthquakes struck Turkey and Syria, the Pope didn't just send prayers, but rather provided real help, including aid supplies and financial support, with the coordinated efforts of organizations like the Rava Foundation dispatched to refugee camps. Whether it's food, medicine, or shelter, Francis believes in practical charity that reaches those who need it most. His dedication to Ukraine is another prime example, as he had his eyes on the suffering there long before the recent conflict. The Pope personally contributed $6 million to provide not just food and clothing, but also medical care and therapy for those in need. His charity extends beyond addressing immediate needs, as he also helps people heal, rebuild, and regain their dignity. Pope Francis does not solely depend on large organizations to do this work. He also inspires and uplifts smaller groups who share his vision. He commends the efforts of organizations like Kedis International, which operates in over 200 countries, and the University College for Aspiring Inspiring Missionary Doctors, which sends doctors to underserved hospitals in Africa. These organizations may not always receive widespread attention, but their work is transformative, and Pope Francis ensures they know how valuable they are. Pope Francis has inspired numerous projects in South America, and beyond that address poverty, homelessness, and inequality. During the World Day of the Poor, he emphasized that serving the poor is essential for the church. He believes that the true church is one that serves the vulnerable, which is at the core of his Christian faith. One of his innovative initiatives focuses on children, establishing a global network of medical hubs to provide care for young people in underserved regions. This demonstrates his ability to combine grand visions with personalized, compassionate actions. Pope Francis is a compassionate leader who actively engages with the less fortunate. He shares meals with the poor, embraces the sick, and encourages others to do the same. During a global event for the poor, he personally shared lunch with 1,300 struggling people, demonstrating that even simple acts of kindness can have a profound impact. Pope Francis reminds us that everyone can contribute to transforming the world through charitable acts, whether it's donating money, volunteering time, or showing kindness to those in need. Rather than staying within the Vatican walls, Pope Francis has been on a global journey, visiting countries and spreading messages of peace, hope, and interfaith dialogue, especially during challenging times. The year 2024 has been an exceptional one for Pope Francis, marked by a high level of activity and significance in his international visits. Reflecting on his early days, one of his most iconic trips was to Brazil in 2013 for World Youth Day, where he addressed a massive gathering of 3.5 million pilgrims at Copacabana Beach. This was a pivotal moment in his papacy, as he captivated the hearts and minds of the young people in attendance with his charismatic and relatable message. He urged the young people to lead full and meaningful lives, encouraging them not to be part-time Christians, but to fully embrace their faith and let it guide their actions. His words sparked a fire of faith that spread far beyond Rio de Janeiro, inspiring youth around the world to deepen their connection with the church and live out its teachings. This set the tone for his global mission, as a pope who would not stay confined to tradition, but instead travel the world to stand alongside people from all walks of life. From 2014 onwards, Pope Francis's passport became filled with stamps as he visited conflict zones, historical regions, and forgotten corners of the world, delivering a consistent message of unity and healing. He made it a priority to bring the message of the gospel to the marginalized and the oppressed, breaking down barriers and reaching out to those who had been neglected or overlooked by the institutional church. Whether he was visiting refugees in war-torn countries, ministering to the poor in slums, or engaging in interfaith dialogues, Pope Francis always approached each situation with a deep sense of empathy and a determination to make a tangible difference in the lives of those he encountered. His unwavering commitment to social justice and his willingness to tackle difficult issues head-on, such as climate change and economic inequality, have earned him the respect and admiration of people around the globe. In 2024, as Pope Francis continues to traverse the world, his impact has only grown more profound. His message of love, compassion, and hope has resonated with people of all faiths and backgrounds, inspiring them to work together towards a more just and equitable world. Through his tireless efforts and his unwavering dedication to the principles of the gospel, Pope Francis has cemented his legacy as a transformative figure who has left an indelible mark on the global community. Pope Francis's visit to the Holy Land was a purposeful call for dialogue and peace in a region troubled by conflict. That same year, he traveled to South Korea, where he beatified 124 Korean martyrs in front of a large crowd, demonstrating his ability to unite people of faith despite divisions in the region. Pope Francis has also shown his commitment to bridging gaps between faiths, as evidenced by his address to the European Parliament in 2014. Pope Francis has continued his global leadership, marked by his spiritual guidance and diplomacy. In 2024, he has embarked on a series of well-planned international visits to address pressing global issues, including religious harmony, social justice, and peace. The highlight of the year was his extensive tour of Southeast Asia and Oceania, where he visited Indonesia, the country with the largest Muslim population. There, in a remarkable display of interfaith cooperation, Pope Francis and Grandam Nasiruddin Umar signed the Joint Declaration of Istak 2024, a document that promotes religious harmony and addresses humanitarian and environmental challenges. The Pope's travels served as a powerful reminder that different faiths must work together to heal the world. In Papua New Guinea, he he advocated for an end to tribal violence, bringing humanitarian aid and hope to the struggling region. In East Timor, he celebrated Mass before a large crowd, offering reconciliation and encouragement to a nation recovering from past conflicts. In Singapore, he urged young people to embrace interfaith dialogue as the key to building a more peaceful future. Later, in Luxembourg, he called on wealthy nations to take responsibility for helping the world's poorest. Finally, he made history with a visit to Corsica, where he delivered a powerful message. The Pope understands that words alone cannot bring change, so he physically travels to various places, whether they are impoverished neighborhoods, war-affected villages, or bustling city centers. By being present with the people, he shows solidarity and reminds world leaders of their responsibilities, while encouraging ordinary citizens to take action. These visits bring attention to the overlooked, forgotten, and marginalized, making them transformative. However, one particular trip to Paris did not go as planned, despite the high anticipation from both the Vatican and the French public. Additionally, Pope Francis has become a crucial figure in the grand openings and dedications of significant churches worldwide, such as the inauguration of restored basilicas. The Pope's visits, whether to bless a humble chapel in a remote village or to stand in solidarity with churches rebuilt after war or disaster, carry a profound meaning as a symbol of hope and faith. These visits serve as a tangible reminder of the Catholic Church's unwavering commitment to its followers, no matter their location or circumstances. When the Pope appears in these sacred spaces, he brings with him the weight of centuries-old tradition and the promise of divine protection, offering solace and spiritual nourishment to those who have endured great hardship. For instance, when the iconic Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls in Rome underwent a meticulous restoration process, it was only fitting that Pope Francis himself led the Jubilee celebrations. This act not only highlighted the basilica's historical significance as one of the most revered sites in Christendom, but also symbolized the ongoing renewal and rejuvenation of the Catholic Church as a whole. By presiding over the festivities, the Pope reminded Catholics that the true beauty of faith often comes through the dedicated preservation and thoughtful restoration of the physical spaces that house their beliefs. The Pope's influence, however, is not limited to the grandeur of Rome or the splendor of great cathedrals. In fact, he is often found visiting churches located in crisis-stricken areas during his global travels, bearing witness to the resilience and unwavering faith of communities that have weathered the storms of conflict, natural disasters, or social upheaval. These pastoral visits serve as a powerful testament to the Church's universal reach and its commitment to standing alongside the faithful, no matter the challenges they face. Through his presence and his blessings, the Pope becomes a living embodiment of the Church's enduring promise to provide solace, guidance, and spiritual sustenance to all who seek it. The Pope, as the spiritual leader of the Catholic Church, has made it a priority to visit communities that have been devastated by destruction and tragedy. One such example was his 2021 trip to Iraq, where he bore witness to the heartbreaking sight of churches reduced to mere piles of rubble, a stark reminder of the immense suffering and loss experienced by the local populace. However, the Pope's visits to these devastated sites were far more than just ceremonial gestures. They were a powerful call for healing, rebuilding, and the unwavering resilience of faith in the face of such overwhelming adversity. The Pope's presence, his words of comfort and encouragement, and his acts of blessing and consecration served to inspire the community and rekindle the hope that had been all but extinguished by the ravages of war and conflict. In developing regions around the world, the Pope often highlights the crucial role that churches play in serving as sanctuaries for the poor and the vulnerable. He has blessed the construction of newly built churches, which have become essential resources for their communities, providing not only a place of worship but also a hub of social services, educational programs, and humanitarian aid. These churches have become beacons of light in the darkness, offering a safe haven and a source of comfort to those in greatest need. While the Vatican and the iconic St. Peter's Basilica remains central to the Pope's liturgical work and the ceremonial heart of the Catholic Church, the Pope's global reach extends far beyond the confines of the Holy See. Through his travels, his public addresses, and his active engagement with communities around the world, the Pope has reinforced the enduring significance of Catholicism in the lives of millions of people, providing spiritual guidance, moral leadership, and a unifying force in an increasingly fragmented world. The Pope's unwavering commitment to serving the needs of the most most vulnerable. His unwavering faith in the power of redemption and renewal, and his global leadership have cemented his status as a towering figure in the spiritual and humanitarian landscape of the modern era. His influence and impact extend far beyond the boundaries of the Catholic Church, touching the lives of people of all faiths and backgrounds, and serving as a beacon of hope and inspiration for those who seek to build a more just, compassionate, and unified world. The world closely followed the meticulous and painstaking restoration efforts of the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris after the devastating fire that ravaged the historic structure in 2019. Anticipation grew exponentially as the church prepared to finally reopen its doors to the public, and many had expected the presence of Pope Francis, the most prominent religious leader in the world, to grace the momentous occasion. However, to the surprise and disappointment of the global audience, the Pope's attendance was notably absent from the grand reopening ceremony. Since then, a flurry of speculation and rumors have surrounded the reasons for the Pope's unexpected absence, with various theories ranging from health concerns to scheduling conflicts. The Vatican remained tight-lipped, offering no official explanation for the Pope's non-appearance, further fueling the intrigue and curiosity of the public. Recently, in a move that has shocked and captivated the world, Pope Francis has made a startling revelation, casting aside the veil of secrecy that has shrouded the grand reopening of the beloved Notre Dame Cathedral. The pontiff has announced that he will now disclose everything about the events leading up to and surrounding the momentous occasion, promising to shed light on the mysterious circumstances that prevented his attendance. Millions of people around the globe are eagerly awaiting the Pope's forthcoming revelations, hoping to finally uncover the truth behind one of the most puzzling and intriguing events in the recent history of the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral. The world stands poised, captivated by the prospect of learning the untold story that has captured the imagination of believers and non-believers alike. The highly anticipated reopening of the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral, which had undergone 5 years of extensive restoration after the devastating fire in 2019, was supposed to be a momentous and joyous occasion. The cathedral, a beloved symbol of French heritage and a masterpiece of Gothic architecture, had captured the hearts and imaginations of people around the world. The restoration project, which had been meticulously planned and executed, had been a testament to the resilience and determination of the French people, who were determined to restore this architectural gem to its former glory. However, the absence of Pope Francis, who was originally expected to preside over the inaugural mass, left everyone surprised and puzzled. During one of his traditional in-flight interviews, Pope Francis explained that his absence was not due to any disregard for the importance of the cathedral or the event, but rather a recognition that the true strength of the church lies not in grand buildings, but in its people and their faith. The Pope emphasized that the cathedral, impressive as it may be, was ultimately a physical structure, and that the true essence of the church was to be found in the faith and devotion of its followers. He noted that while the restoration of Notre Dame was a significant achievement, it was important to remember that the church's mission was to serve the people, not to showcase its own grandeur. In his remarks, Pope Francis underscored his commitment to humility and service, and his belief that the church should focus on those who are often overlooked and marginalized. He expressed his desire to prioritize the needs of the poor, the sick, and the oppressed, rather than to preside over elaborate ceremonies and events. The Pope's decision to forego the inaugural Mass at Notre Dame Cathedral sent a powerful message about his vision for the church, one that emphasizes the importance of compassion, service, and a deep connection to the community. This act of humility and selflessness resonated with many, who saw it as a reflection of the Pope's dedication to the principles of his faith and his commitment to putting the needs of the people first. Many believed the Pope's decision to not attend the Notre Dame Cathedral's revival ceremony was merely a facade, sparking widespread speculation about deeper, more complex motives behind his surprising absence. The French people, as well as devoted Catholics and believers worldwide, were left genuinely puzzled, deeply wondering about the real reason behind this unexpected move by the head of the Catholic Church. While Pope Francis did not provide substantial details or justification for his decision, the French public, particularly the devout Catholic population, reacted with a mix of profound confusion and profound disappointment. After all, Notre Dame is so much more than just another church. It is a revered, centuries-old symbol of unwavering faith, rich history, and indomitable resilience for the French nation and the global Christian community. Millions of Catholics had fervently hoped and eagerly anticipated seeing the pontiff there to personally mark and celebrate the cathedral's remarkable revival, making his absence even more puzzling and disheartening. disheartening. Across the rest of the world, religious leaders, political figures, and ordinary citizens shared similar sentiments of bewilderment, endlessly speculating about the Pope's possible reasons for missing this momentous occasion. True to Francis's enigmatic and unpredictable leadership style, however, the true rationale behind his decision remained shrouded in mystery, leaving the global audience to ponder the complex priorities and considerations that may have guided his actions during this historic time. Some speculated that the Pope's decision not to attend this important event could be attributed to his unwavering commitment to helping the poor, the marginalized, and those most in need within the global community. Perhaps he felt compelled to direct his time, attention, and resources elsewhere to address pressing humanitarian crises and support the vulnerable, rather than focusing solely on the revival of the iconic cathedral. Alternatively, there were whispers that the Pope may have deliberately chosen to avoid the media frenzy and political spectacle that would have inevitably surrounded his appearance at Notre Dame, preferring to maintain a lower profile and prioritize spiritual reflection over public grandstanding. Ultimately, the reasons behind the Pope's surprising choice remain enigmatic, leaving the global audience to endlessly ponder the intricate web of priorities, principles, and personal convictions that guide the actions and decisions of this influential and enigmatic world leader during this momentous chapter in history. As the world grapples with the significance of the Notre Dame Cathedral's revival, the absence of the Pope's physical presence has only further fueled speculation and intrigue surrounding his motivations and the multifaceted perspectives that inform his leadership. Share your thoughts with us in the comments section and subscribe to our channel to see more content.